Okay, take a close look at this. Man solicited for sex in village restroom at age 11 responds to apology call. Whoa. A warning, this content of the story may be disturbing to some readers. St. John's man is looking to speak with members of St. John's Pride in relation to their call for an apology from the police on the arrest of men in connection with a sexual activity in a men's washroom in the village shopping center in the 1990s. Sean Cole says he supports the LGBT community, but what happened to him was wrong. He says when he was only 11, he was solicited by a man who was masturbating in the stall next to him. I'm going to put the camera on me now. There we are. Hi folks, Jennifer McCreath here. Wow, today is February 27th, 2018. I think this is day 3 or day 4 of this interesting story that keeps evolving. It's common knowledge that in 1993, several men were arrested for having sex in a public place, named specifically the Village Mall public bathrooms. A lot of these people who were arrested were outed publicly as gay men. And here we are, 25 years later, 2018, St. John's Pride Incorporated has come out asking for an apology for the fact that these men were arrested and publicly, I guess, outed as gay. Police had said all along, no, we can't apologize for this. We were just doing our job. Sex in a public place is illegal, and it was back then, and guess what? It still is now. St. John's Pride Incorporated, first and foremost, I don't know why they made this one of their priorities. 2, they obviously did so without consulting the public. I've never heard of any consultation with the public about whether or not this is a priority. 3, I think it's absolutely stupid and ridiculous to ask anyone for an apology. If anything, we should be commending the government of the day and the police of the day for doing their jobs. And even more so concerning for me as a trans woman here in 2018 is the fact that we still hear this acronym LGBT. For some reason, everyone wants to lump trans people in with the gays. And that worries me because there's a lot of myths and negative stereotypes and negative false assumptions made about trans women and like me and others. We are not sexual fetishists. We do not like to go into public bathrooms and play with penises. Trans women, legitimate true transsexuals was the term derived by Harry Benjamin. We go out of our way to get medical care to have our male parts turned into female parts. And for anyone to imply or assume or lump us in together with this type of terrible activity is completely false. And ultimately, I'm really disappointed. You'll recall 2 years ago, there was a move by St. John's Pride. I can't remember the specific board members at the time. They wanted to ban the police from participating in the Pride Parade. And I called bullshit to that and raised concern. I even demonstrated my anger and protest by lighting a rainbow flag on fire. And I called for that entire board to resign. And eventually they did. 2017 Pride, a completely different group of people. Now we've got yet another different group of people. One of whom has been involved with Pride before and has been engaged in some controversial activity. Noah Davis Power, his name is all over this in the media. I don't know if he's acting on his own or acting on behalf and with support of the full current board, but I think this is absolutely ridiculous and disgraceful. St. John's Pride 2018 is preaching togetherness. I was at an event where Noah Davis Power stood up in front of a room of probably 65 to 70 high school teenagers, talked about Pride being about togetherness, and now he's going to go back and try to rewrite history, digging up this 1993 situation where there were clearly some gay men breaking the law. And let's be clear, not all gay men today or back then would engage in this type of illegal activities. Not all gay men go into public places for sex. In fact, I would suggest that this is a small minority, and they're bad apples that made the entire community look bad, much like bad apples of gay and lesbian communities make trans people look bad by guilty of our supposed association with them. I, for one, have been calling for the segregation. Trans people should not be lumped in with gay and lesbians because it's not the same thing. It's a completely different issue. Anyway, we now have a victim coming forward saying that they were solicited for sex by a masturbating gay man in the Village Mall bathroom, hence proving that the police were doing their job. They were putting an end to disgusting, fetishistic, dangerous, predatorial activity by a group of gay men. If anything, these gay men who were involved in this public display of sex and soliciting sex from minors, they're the ones that should be apologizing to the police and their fellow community members. I would like to suggest that St. John's Pride stop this foolishness immediately. You're not going to get an apology, and you don't need one, you don't deserve one. These people broke the law, and they embarrassed themselves, and they embarrassed the community, and they victimized youth. Gay or not, you can't do that. And I stand 100% with the government and the police on this. And I think it's time for someone in St. John's Pride to step forward and claim ownership for this debacle. If it's Noah Davis Power acting alone, I think he should resign and get away from Pride. Otherwise, people are going to alienate themselves from Pride. There won't be togetherness. As long as he's running Pride, I will not be involved or engaged in anything to do with Pride this year. In fact, I will be publicly calling for a boycott of Pride. And I will be publicly calling for a boycott of any organization that aligns or donates money to Pride, because this is not what the LGBT or T communities are all about. Other board members, I think you should step up to the plate. If you don't, you're going to be deemed to be working together. If Noah's speaking for the group and the organization, he's speaking for all of you. You certainly don't speak for me. You certainly don't speak for the majority of LGBT people in St. John's, Newfoundland that I've spoken to in the past week. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'd like to call for, once again, Noah Davis Power. I think it's time for you to step down and resign. And if you do not do so by the end of next week, I'm going to have to cause another protest. I hate burning rainbow flags, but sometimes you have to make a point. And this is a shame and embarrassment, and you're risking harm to trans women who are unnecessarily lumped into this. We have nothing to do with gay sex. We are not supportive of this type of activity, and we don't condone anyone soliciting sex from minors. So please do the right thing, St. John's Pride. Put an end to this foolishness. Apologize for all the trouble you've caused. And board members, come out and say something, or all of you should just resign. I'm Jennifer McCreath. Thanks for watching.